My name is Dr. Sarah Fry, and I am one of the authors of the Pediatric Illness Classroom Survey, also known as PICS. We are excited that in October of 2025, PICS was finally released for public sale. We soon discovered some important things about the professional community's attraction to PICS. It seems that so far, one of its 4 uses stands out among school psychologists. That particular use created a lot of recent buzz. We were present at the November conference of the Arizona School Psychology Association when we began to get a sense of consumer sentiment. At our products booth and during a workshop on PICS, the discussion often gravitated towards Section 504 and OHI eligibility. Some of this seemed to be driven by the concern among school districts about Arizona legislation entitled ARS 15346 and the Arizona Department of Education's scrutiny of school districts regarding the attendance of students with chronic illness. All of this is especially pertinent because by CDC estimates, 20% of school-age children will experience a chronic illness at some point during their school career. When you add them all up, it turns out to represent many students on the campuses that you serve. These kids, of course, experience disproportionate needs. This is a how-to video on the intelligent use of PICS as your guide regarding OHI and Section 504. Our own research and that of colleagues have highlighted 5 areas of vulnerability that seem to cut across pediatric illnesses. PICS captures all 5 of these by way of structured teacher ratings. Section A concerns current academic and neurocognitive skills. Section B inquires about retained skills to rule out regression related to an illness. Section C taps classroom productivity, like getting work done. Section D ascertains adjustment, such as fitting in when illness is present. And Section E assesses being present so that you can benefit from instruction. It's self-evident that generic psychopathology-centric behavior rating scales would fail to provide you with this information. The items in the manual were constructed over a period of years by our team of school psychologists, neuropsychologists, pediatric psychologists, a pediatrician, and a school nurse. Here are 3 of us at the ASP conference in November in Phoenix, Arizona. PICS is criterion referenced. It is not norm referenced. This method was selected after much debate and for technical reasons that we won't get into here. Each school team should create their own threshold level and then apply it with professional judgment and other information, and with each student in a case-by-case fashion. The manual describes how to do this in detail. The manual also includes many case examples. It also contains an Appendix E comprising 2 reproducible forms for establishing criteria and then for using those criteria for case-by-case decisions. Items are arranged with options indicating increasing teacher concern. There are subscripts to help with structured interpretation. There are also red flag items that indicate the student's health team should probably be notified. 8 of these medical notification items relate to loss of function that could have a medical origin. For example, loss of cognitive, motor, or language function would be considered a red flag. 3 other medical notification items relate to problems getting work done because of one of the following: lethargy or drowsiness, nausea, or pain. Teacher endorsement of these items could indicate poor control of symptoms or medication side effects that the prescriber would want to know about. Because it's criterion referenced, PICS typically advises a 2-step process. First, establish criteria. This step requires at least one person, like a school psychologist, with measurement training. The second step might sometimes be handled by a 504 coordinator or someone without training in measurement and assessment. It's up to each district to decide. Let's look first at what a school district might choose regarding Section 504 qualification. we picked a district that adopted uncomplicated criteria for its decision making. In general, schools will probably adopt relatively lenient criteria for identification. What we see here are examples of the threshold level that would constitute a failed screening. You can see the subscripts that exist among the items could be used as a simple guide. For example, in Section A, anything rated as moderately below classmates, which would be 2 or greater, regarding academics, language, or fine motor, might suggest a problem and indicate a failed screening. Section B is a different animal. Because it deals with lost skills or capabilities, which are inherently more worrisome, any item indicating even slight loss, which would be a rating of 1 or greater, might suggest a failed screening. Again, districts can adopt their own criteria, although the manual contains general suggestions. On the back page is a section called Optional Screening Checklist for School Services. This half page of the answer form has garnered the most intense interest. As you can see in this example, it's possible to indicate the student's medical condition, the medical provider doing the documenting, the date, and then critically each of the necessary criteria. The legal consensus seems to be that it is necessary to confirm each criterion, not just a medical diagnosis, to satisfy eligibility under Section 504. In this example, a student with juvenile idiopathic arthritis failed his screening largely because of limited productivity associated with pain in the hands and limited academic skills and written expression. Beyond establishing a basis for eligibility, you could see where this information would set the stage for creating an accommodation plan. Generally, school districts will adopt more stringent criteria for OHI eligibility than Section 504. That seems to be the consensus opinion on how the laws were written. Here we see that this school district has judged that academics would need to be substantially below classmates, a rating of at least 3, to reach a threshold for eligibility. This is indicated by requiring subscripts of 3 or higher in Section A. The same level problem rating would exist in Section C and D. Then, Section B, there's still the notion that any lost skills are probably sufficient to indicate eligibility. For this reason, in Section B, ratings of 1 or higher are decided to be indicative of failed screening and probable OHI eligibility. Here, you see a child with pre-existing Crohn's disease for whom PICS was used either during routine screening, maybe the district screens every student with a health condition found in their record, or the student might have been the subject of a referral. Either way, the optional screening checklist for school services on the back of the answer form addresses point by point the eligibility criteria for OHI. This might lead to an immediate team meeting to establish eligibility and create an IEP. Alternatively, it might prompt a more detailed assessment. Of course, for students who pass the screening, the completed PICS answer form, and especially the back page, might be filed as evidence that the school has done its due diligence regarding child fine. Local practices, culture, and priorities would always come into play in the applications of PICS. In terms of big picture, PICS can add structure to the decision-making process regarding Section 504 and set the stage to help students with either IEPs or accommodation plans. We're sure that your school district can benefit from the use of PICS to help address 504 and OHI eligibility. But it can also do more. We're developing other videos explaining how to use PICS for general screening in clinics or in schools that emphasize MTSS, to guide comprehensive assessments in complex cases of chronic illnesses, such as a student who suffered a stroke, as well as a tool to monitor student progress. Visit our website to learn more about PICS or contact us via our website. We would be delighted to provide you with additional information and offer suggestions about PICS use. Thank you.